Hi there, I'm the Reverend Danny Crosby, a Unitarian minister serving congregations in Altrincham and in Urmston in the northwest of England. And I offer this devotion as a balm for the heart, for the mind, for the spirit and for the soul. It is titled Person-Centered Spirituality. I love watching Molly, my little Havanese dog, playing with other dogs. She loves to run and chase and wrestle. She'd do it all day. So playful. And it doesn't seem to matter the size of the dog either. When it snowed the other day, she must have spent 2 hours just running and playing. It was me that needed to go home, not her. She wore out about a dozen other dogs. They gave up in the end. She just kept playing. She just carried on. They soon gave up. How she loves to play. She has the ability too to bring out playfulness in other dogs. I was talking to a woman the other day and she had a cavapoo. She said her dog was not very sociable and doesn't really play anymore. Well, within a few moments, Molly had got her running round, as she does with every dog. She said her dog hadn't done this for 2 years. It was only 3 years old itself. And after a few minutes of joy of just running and playing, she called her dog, put it on its lead and walked away. Thought it was a bit sad, really. I remember thinking to myself, I'm not sure it's the dog that isn't very sociable or playful. It seems that some aspect of that little dog was not fully awake or perhaps had gone to sleep, because I got the feeling it desperately wanted to play with others. But there you go, it's just a feeling. I do love watching dogs play. They know intuitively when they are playing, when the activity is playful. They read each other. They seem to instantly get in tune with each other as they observe. There's these momentary pauses in their wrestling and in their chasing, and then they move into each other in this knowing, playful way. They are beautifully synchronized. They seem to understand one another intuitively. They quickly adjust to the size of each other too. They seem to understand each other's needs and each other's capacity. They seem beautifully centered on one another when they're at play. It is a beautiful sight to behold how they are in tune with themselves. They are in tune with one another when they play. It makes you think that this is a kind of empathy that we humans are perhaps searching for. It also got me thinking that maybe dogs at play is an example of that golden rule of compassion. Dogs at play seem to be a living example of do unto the other dog as you would have done to yourself. Last Sunday, Janine led a child blessing service here at the chapel. It was wonderful to watch her in action, to see how she had created her own service that fulfilled the needs of the family. I enjoyed how she had constructed the service. Actually, I could see from a professional perspective how it was put together. Afterwards, we went for coffee and a chat. We chuckled to ourselves about the elements that she had combined together to create the actual whole service. Some of it was her own, but you could see the influences of other people in her life, including some of my own. So we went to Cafe Nero with Nick, who had been helping out during the music and stuff in the service, and we were met by two other people that were there that had also been at the service. They'd gone for coffee after the coffee time after the service. They'd gone together. They'd been to the service a couple of times to the services there, but they weren't regulars. They were kind of testing the water, and obviously they wanted to talk about what they'd experienced in my worship service that I'd led before the child welcoming service, the blessing. And they were asking questions about Unitarianism, the Unitarian tradition. It was a fascinating conversation as we talked about so many different things, so many different approaches to spirituality and religion. That we got into the subject of universalism again, and they wanted to understand what that means, and Janine explained from what I'd been talking about a few weeks ago, which if you watched the video perhaps you heard too. There was lots of talk about where Unitarianism comes from, where our Unitarian tradition grew from, the tradition today and its approach to religion and spirituality. There were many attempts to label things. Some people feel comfortable giving themselves a definite label to things. But I don't really. I find it a little bit reductionistic. But it helps some people identify. There were questions about symbols and symbolism too. I talked a little, but mostly I listened, as I do often in these settings. I remember walking away with a broad, beaming smile, a big grin across my face as I went home. I got changed, and then I headed off to the park with Molly. As I watched her play, I thought what a beautiful metaphor she is for a free approach to religion and spirituality. This beautiful openness in her play and her connectiveness too. The next morning, I was talking with a friend who is messaging me, talking to me about who's studying for a counselling degree, diploma or degree, I'm not quite sure. She'd been reading some Carl Rogers and his view on person-centred counselling and this need for deep empathy. It was a lovely conversation and great to hear as she was so enthused by what she was learning. I love enthusiasm in anyone or anything, really. She asked me if I'd thought about exploring self-actualisation as a thing. She also asked questions about empathy and counselling within ministry. I kind of explained there are elements, but it's not counselling, even when I sit one-on-one with people. I said I wasn't going to explore self-actualisation directly, but there are elements in things I've done in the past. She believed that the work of Carl Rogers seemed to correlate with Unitarian ministry from what she'd learnt from me. And I think some of his ideas do point towards a person-centred spirituality, if you like, which to me is the essence of the Unitarian approach to religion and spirituality. And then I thanked her for being one of my muses for the week, as she did seem to set me off in this direction that I'm sharing this devotion with about. How'd you like it so far? She seemed to like the fact that she'd influenced me. People often do. Now, on his journey towards developing person-centred therapy, Carl Rogers renounced what he described as traditional Christianity, if you like, seeing it as imposing judgmental conditions of worth. By the way, he viewed other religions this way too. Rogers grew up in an extremely conservative Christian family. He had a particular problem with the foundational belief in the doctrine of original sin. I share this view. I think it's deeply problematic. This idea that at birth there is something fundamentally flawed, something fundamentally wrong in humanity, in human nature. This idea is antithetical to Rogers' concept of unconditional positive regard. Unconditional positive regard is the attitude of complete acceptance and love, whether for yourself or for someone else. When you have unconditional positive regard for someone, nothing they can do could give you a reason to stop seeing them as inherently human and inherently lovable. It does not mean that you accept each and every action taken by a person, but that you accept that they are at a level much deeper than surface behaviour, than the behaviour of a person. You accept this deep, unconditional, positive regard for their humanity, I guess. And here I see parallels with the golden rule of compassion, which can be found at the heart of every one of the great faith traditions, It is this love, it is to love yourself, your neighbour, as yourself in one form or another. It's there at the heart, in the essence, if you like. Now, to me, this suggests that if we see ourselves and one another as fallen in nature, then we cannot love each other as if we cannot love each other we cannot love the other, and we cannot love ourselves if we see there's something wrong in our humanity, in our nature, and therefore how can we love God or even see God as loving? If we believe that our core there is something wrong, then we will love the other as we love ourselves. So we will see the other as being wrong, fundamentally flawed. And I'm not sure about that. In fact, I'm certain that that isn't right. It seems in direct contradiction to me to the essence of the teachings of Jesus and thus Christianity and all the other great faith traditions. When I think of the Sermon on the Mount, When he said to the people, "You are the light of the world," it just seems to suggest something else. And it's one of the reasons why I've never understood original sin as being in line with the teachings of Jesus. Now, I know that goes against Christian orthodoxy, but, I just can't accept that reality. I do not accept that life and humanity is born fallen. And I was thinking of this as Janine conducted the child blessing service last Sunday, as she named the child, as she blessed the child's life, and she asked her family and friends to support her in her life. She blessed this beautiful blessing. So I cannot accept the idea of original sin. That said, I do not deny that we all sin, if you like, in the sense that each and every single one of us falls short of our ideal of what we can be. Everybody, every day. But it's not something in our nature, it's just that we're not living up to our potential, if you like. That said, despite falling short, we should never lose sight that at the core of our being, we are inherently lovable, formed from love, from a loving God, I would say. We are formed from love and we are capable of love. Rogers believed that the purpose of psychology is to bring this inherent worth to life. And I believe that it's the purpose of communities like the ones that I serve, to bring that alive too, and to recognise that in each other. In so doing, we can begin to bring that love alive through our human being, and in so doing, we will truly love God with all our hearts, our minds, and our souls, and our neighbours as ourselves. And this all got me thinking about ministry, really, particularly ministry in my tradition. In many ways, the Unitarian approach is very much a person-centred spirituality. As a minister, my role is to meet people where they are and encourage them to seek their own answers to life's questions, particularly the spiritual nature of life. Surely this is person-centred. And I was thinking of this as I watched Molly playing with another dog, how in tune with each other they were, and how by doing so they both gained so much as I watched this beautiful dance. It came to me that what we are about is a person-centred spirituality in community. My role is not to tell others what to think and believe, but to encourage all of us to seek truth and meaning together, and somehow in that dance something remarkable happens. Obviously I share my perspective, but that's to bring on engagement, and somehow in that creative interchange something incredible happens. And this does require unconditional positive regard for ourselves and for others. We do need to believe that we and others are a blessing, or we will not trust one another. We won't trust one another in the way that I was watching her just earlier this afternoon playing with another lovely little dog that looked like a cross between a pug and a Jack Russell. It was gorgeous, just watching them playing and together and understanding one another. We can do that too. Coming together with a sense of positive regard for ourselves and others is not a private affair. It is a kind of communal spirituality. Something that appears to be increasingly lacking in our day and age. Many people report a need for spiritual sustenance, but are put off by what is described as organised religion of any kind, which they see as being detrimental to that very spirituality. I remember a friend once posting the following meme: "Spiritual people inspire me, whereas religious people scare me." Maybe this is because religion is seen as inhibiting, as life constraining, which it can be. If we believe there's something fundamentally flawed in us, it constrains us in our humanity. Of course, Unitarians claim that we are free, a free and inquiring religion, that we are free to explore and develop our own personal spirituality, but in community with others. We as individual members of a free religious communities do not think and believe in the same way about many things actually, but we are bound together in mutual love, in mutual regard. We are one faith, but we may not believe in exactly the same way. As that conversation in the pub coffee shop proved. Different perspectives, but coming together around the heart of love. There is love and respect, of course. There is unconditional positive regard. Well, at least that's what we aim for. No one achieves this perfectly, as none of us have yet reached this idea of being perfectly self-actualized human beings. I certainly haven't. Maybe one day, but I doubt it. And I wonder actually if I reach this stage of being, which is never going to happen by the way, of being perfectly self-actualized, whether I'd be much use anyway. Because how could anybody relate to someone like that? My brokenness at times is how people relate to what I create, because it's so very human. Doesn't mean that there's something wrong, it's just nothing is ever perfect in life. Nothing is complete. That is the nature of existence. But it doesn't mean that there's something wrong at the core. The heart must be right. A person-centered approach to spirituality and religion, with positive self-regard for ourselves and others at its core, recognizing each other's worth and dignity, requires an openness to all that is life, the universe, God and everything. It reveals truth and meaning in everything and everywhere, and it reveals the divine in all aspects of life. It does not reject. It leads to reverence for the miracle that is life itself and reverence for one another. To me, this is the purpose of true religion, but it's not an easy task. But maybe other approaches are easier. This is work, this is hard work. For his church said that in order to achieve it, we must embrace each day as the miracle it is and fashion our very lives as instruments of praise. This is religious work and it requires religious discipline. We perform that work together weekly in our Sunday liturgy. Once a week we pause and pinch ourselves. We can't take this life for granted. We must receive it as a precious gift, a pearl of great price. We need to recognise the oneness, the unity of everything. We are all part of a vast and yet mysterious living system. By recognising this, we begin to participate consciously in this vast oneness. The mystics of every faith tradition have proclaimed this divine unity. It is called nirvana in Buddhism, or the Brahman-Atman synthesis in Hinduism. When Jesus declares, I and the Father are one, he's talking of this divine oneness. We are all part of the one undivided whole. This is how we love God, and this is how we love our neighbour as ourselves. It's positive regard for everything, and everything that is at the core of everything. Now that's how I see it. Furman described this near perfectly in Creative Encounter when he said, it is my belief that in the presence of God there is neither male or female, white or black, Gentile nor Jew, Protestant nor Catholic, Hindu, Buddhist nor Muslim, but a human spirit stripped to the literal substance of itself before God. This oneness, this sense of communion can be experienced by everyone, for no one is excluded. It transcends all our human created differences. What name we give it matters little, whether it be universal mind, great spirit, God the divine. Whether we name it or not, we can know it. We certainly can. I'm sure we've all felt it, that oneness at one time or another. Felt it this morning. And I felt it this afternoon, and I'm feeling it now. I know from personal experience and from really listening to others that there is a deep human need to be at one with ourselves, reconciled with our neighbours and at home in this universe. It seems to me that our feelings of friendship and of empathy are but a faint reminder of this essential oneness. We can all feel that oneness, and it's through this oneness that we can truly know ourselves, our true natures. Can we achieve this alone? Does privatised spirituality enable this? Well, how can we be at one with all that is life if we cannot engage with another and their spirituality? We need to connect to more than ourselves. To be truly religious is to let the sense of the eternal make a difference in our lives. It's really about being good neighbours. It's about how we live with each other. As Thomas Jefferson said, it is in our lives, not our words, that our religion must be read. You can be spiritual on your own, of course you can be. But we can only be truly religious if we come together. Coming together does not mean you lose who you are, though. In many ways, you may learn more about who you are when you interact, when you come together with others. Last Tuesday morning, before I began working on this, I took Molly to the park once again. It was pouring with rain. There were only one or two other dogs out and about. Molly didn't have anyone much to play with. She looked around. She chased a few birds and a few squirrels. She was okay, but not like she had been the previous day, or the day before that even. For she had to play alone. She was at ease though. She doesn't suffer what so many humans suffer from. She doesn't experience self-loathing. She has a healthy self-regard, and as such goes out into the world with a sense of joy and anticipation. Having said that, Molly has known nothing but love in her life. No one has told her or treated her like there was something wrong with her at the core of her being, that there's something wrong with her nature. She's never known that. She sees most people in this loving light. If she's met you once, she will greet you as if you're an old friend. She likes to say hello to everyone. She has certainly enhanced my life and taught me so much about how to recognise my own worth and dignity and that of my brothers and sisters. And it's helped me attempt to build a community based on person-centred spirituality. She's enhanced it so much. So maybe it should be dog-centred spirituality, really. And to me, this is how life should be, and certainly how religion should be. It should be person-centred, with love at its heart, with positive self-regard for ourselves, each other, life, and with God at the heart of it. Then we will truly live by the golden rule of love, and we will begin to bring that kingdom of love alive, right here, right now. Amen. I'm going to end with some final words of blessing, for life is the ultimate blessing, the ultimate grace, and we need to bless more, and we can all bless. We bless when we give ourselves wholeheartedly to life. There are some final words of blessing. May we learn to live in peace, deeply regarding each other, truly listening to one another, speak what each of us must speak, and be ready at any moment to disarm our own hearts, and always live as if the realm of love had already begun. And may the blessings of God go with us all, and may it do so in all that we feel, in all that we think, in all that we say, in all that we do. Go in love, go in peace. Amen.